What's happening, Boot Junkies? Mike Delgadio here, back with another video on home studio setup for voiceover. And, yep, here we go. What is clanking? Don't clank. We'll suffer no clanking. Let's try that again. What's happening, Boot Junkies? Mike Delgadio here, back with another video on home studio setup for voiceover. Don't clank. We've got another microphone that we're going to test out today, and I think you're going to like this one. I think you're going to like this one for a number of different reasons. And if you're a gamer and your version of voiceover is you sitting in front of your computer talking into a microphone for Twitch or for YouTube streaming or to talk with your friends, I might have found the microphone for you. If you're looking for a condenser microphone to make your sound better, I might have found the microphone for you. And we'll tell you why in just a minute. First, we're going to talk about them just in the microphone in just its regular old sound quality so that we can do a comparison against a couple of different microphones. And then I'll tell you why I think it might be just the mic you're looking for. So, the microphone that we're going to talk about today is this one. This is the CAD Audio. I say CAD, I think they pronounce it CAD. The CAD Audio M179 multi-pattern microphone. It's a mouthful, isn't it? This is an infinitely adjustable multi-pattern microphone. So it is essentially every kind of microphone all wrapped up in one. That's cool, right? And that means it's not just an omnidirectional or a figure eight or a cardioid microphone. It means it's not only all of those, but it's all the infinite patterns in between. Is it a wide cardioid? It's that too. Is it a supercardioid? Yep. Is it a hypercardioid? Yep. Is it halfway in between hypercardioid and supercardioid? Yeah, it certainly is. It's infinitely adjustable between all the possible patterns that a microphone can have. Magic. The way now, I'm going to go into what little bit I know of the science of microphones. It's not much. I know how to talk into them, and that's really the thing I know how to do. Microphones, if they have two diaphragms, you can adjust, I guess, the voltage that's applied to the diaphragms, the amount of electricity that goes to them, such that waves will cancel each other out. And so you can cancel out the sound coming from behind the mic in favor of what's coming in front of the mic, the cardioid pattern. Or you can change the voltage so it's sensitive all the way around. Or you can cancel out the frequencies. And it's just that super tiny time differential between the two diaphragms that it can cancel out those waves just by a little tiny bit of offset. I may have just completely lied about that. That's how it's been explained to me, but I'm not positive. But suffice to say, when you have dual diaphragms, that's how you can get to multi-pattern. That's how you can get to different patterns of the microphone. And when we talk about patterns, we're talking about the area of sensitivity of the microphone. It can be sensitive from the front. It can be sensitive from the back, the sides, or some combination thereof. Now, right now I'm comparing this to this one. This is the Rode NT1A. Now, the reason I'm comparing the CAD M179 to the Rode NT1A is because they're both the same price, both $199 each. The Rode NT1A, good microphone, super popular. There's nothing wrong with this microphone. It's a single pattern, just a cardioid. It's not a figure eight. It's not an omnidirectional. It's not a hyper or a supercardioid or any of those things. It's just the one pattern. So these are both the same price, but this one, the CAD it's differently featured, we'll say. On the front, on the front of the M179, there's a dial, and that dial is adjustable between all the patterns. So you might have seen on some of my other videos when we've talked about microphones that have different patterns, it'll just be like a switch. You switch between omnidirectional or cardioid or figure eight or something like that. This one, it's a fluid dial that just rotates between all of them. So you can be somewhere between cardioid and wide cardioid, between wide cardioid and omnidirectional, or on the other side between supercardioid and figure eight. And really what that is there's a lobe of sensitivity that if you're in cardioid, it starts just in the front of the mic. So if you've ever seen me make this shape before, there's this sort of this heart-shaped cardioid, heart-shaped. So that point is the front of the microphone, and there'll be a lobe of sensitivity that goes out and around. And as you turn the dial to narrow the lobe of sensitivity here to become a supercardioid or a hypercardioid, it necessarily opens up some sensitivity in the back. So there'll be a lobe that starts closed in cardioid, and it opens up a little for supercardioid, a little bit wider for hypercardioid, until you get essentially a figure of eight pattern for a figure eight pattern. So there's a lobe, a very narrow lobe in the front, and a very narrow lobe in the back, and a lot of rejection from the side. And this one will have a knob that you can essentially dial that sensitivity in. That's cool. And that's really cool if you're a gamer. And we're going to take it outside, and I'll talk about that in a minute. There are two other switches on the front of the microphone that are very common that we've seen in a lot of microphones that we've tested. There is a pad switch, so if you engage the pad, it will reduce the sound sensitivity of the microphone by, 10 or... This one's minus 20 dB, so it will actually get 20 dB quieter. So if I turn that switch, and now I'm talking into it, it should get a whole lot quieter, because it's much less sensitive. So we'll switch that back. There's also a bass roll-off. So if you slide that across, you'll take away some of the bass of the microphone, the bass sensitivity. And that's really, if you're going to be recording really up close to a guitar cabinet, or you'll be getting your voice right up to it for what's called the proximity effect. As you get closer to the microphone, there's a tendency for a microphone to get bassier. It's just a natural sort of law of the physics of the microphone that as you get closer to it, the bass can become more pronounced unless they specifically engineer that out of the microphone. In some cases, they engineer it by just engaging a switch, and you switch it across, and as you get closer to it, it starts to EQ out that bass that would normally be exaggerated. So as you get close, the EQ doesn't change. It's up to you whether or not you like that effect or you don't like that effect. You can get close to it and have that bass there or not. That's what that switch is typically for. And I think this one is an 80 hertz roll-off. I'll put a graphic there because I should know that, and I don't have the fact sheet up in front of me. I'll get the fact sheet. Not 80. Not 80. It's at 100 deep. 100 hertz. 100 hertz at 6 decibels per octave. So that means that starting at 100 hertz, there's a gently sloping down curve that as you go down an octave, that'll be 6 decibels lower than the next octave down, 6 decibels lower than that. So it just rolls the bass off. So, sorry if I'm popping these mics. I don't have the pop filter here because they totally block my view. The Rode normally comes with one. The CAD, you'd buy it separately. But that's how these two microphones sound. They're both 1-inch large condensers. This one shares the same diaphragm as its big sibling, the Ecotech E300, which is like a $450 microphone. It has the same diaphragm, different internal circuitry, probably where they're saving a little bit of the money to make it much less expensive. But it's the same diaphragm in it. So now you've heard it compared back and forth between the Rode NT1A. Just for the sake of comparison, I'm going to compare this CAD microphone to one of my most favorite microphones of all time, the CAD E100S, which is about a $350 microphone. Let me set that up. Man, it is hot in this booth today. It is hot in the booth today. So we're going to adjust this. We're going to adjust it so that the waveforms look about the same. That looks about the same. Looking at my meters just to see, I'm going to try and get these two so that they're about the same. Now, these are both the same brand microphone. CAD, M179, E100S. Man, I love this microphone. But they do share, a lot of similar componentry to it. This one has a larger diaphragm. The M179 does have a larger diaphragm than the E100S. I think this is 3/4 of an inch. This is a 1-inch diaphragm. But they are both made by the same company. So I'm just going to vamp for a few minutes so that we can compare between these two and just switch back and forth and see how they sound. So the M179, this does share the diaphragm with the E100S. This one is totally different. This one is a single pattern mic. The E100S single pattern. It is a super cardioid microphone, which means it's got a narrow lobe of sensitivity in the front and a sort of a very narrow area of sensitivity directly from behind. It will be dead over here and dead over here. But right here, down the middle, there is a lobe of sensitivity, and it's narrower in the front. So I can dial, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dial the M179 over to the supercardioid pattern area. And so now we can actually get an apples-to-apples comparison, mimicking the same pattern of each. I was just able to switch this microphone from the cardioid of the NT1A to the supercardioid of the CAD E100S. And I turned this microphone into this one, pattern-wise. Whoa, that's super cool. And so this is why I think that the M179 may be the perfect microphone for gamers. And let's talk about why. And I'm going to do a demonstration in just a minute. But the thing I see all of the time when I'm, like on the microphone subreddits and people always asking question is, how can I get the microphone not to hear things? Which for me is like a crazy question because the microphone is like the world's most sensitive ear. It's really designed to hear things. But some people think that, you can tune a microphone to make it not hear anything. And that's not really the case. However, you can leverage these different patterns if you understand where those patterns are and leverage how to make your mic optimized for your situation. And this is why I think the M179 may be perfect, because it's hard for you to know when you're first setting up. Do I need a figure of 8 pattern or do I need a cardioid pattern? Because I have fans behind me and I've got a keyboard down below me, and I want to try and eliminate those. I want to minimize the sound I don't want into the microphone, and I want to maximize the sound I do want into the microphone. I want to maximize my voice and minimize my computer fan, because I got this killer battle station gaming rig over there and the fans are they're going crazy. But I don't want that sound in my microphone. And I got my, my beautiful mechanical keyboard, and I'm clicking away on that, and I'm trying not to make it sound like it's thunder and, like I'm smashing on the keyboard into the microphone. Really, it's just there may be acoustic coupling, or more likely your keyboard is in the pattern of sensitivity. I see people all the time where they put their microphone way back here, and it's right. They put the sound right inside the lobe of sensitivity, which of course, the microphone is going to hear. It's going to hear everything that it possibly can. And so I think by leveraging this pattern, this multi-pattern microphone, you can optimize where to put the microphone in relation to one or more sources of noise, and put those sources of noise in the dead zone, the area of insensitivity for the mic. So that may mean that you need to be somewhere between cardioid and supercardioid to maximize the dead area on the side of the microphone over here, so that you can put your computer fan and your keyboard directly below it. Or maybe you need to have a figure 8 where the microphone sits over here off to the side, but the insensitivity that is that waist pattern, the middle pattern of the microphone, is maybe right directly above your keyboard. So your keyboard is right 90 degrees down below the microphone and in its area of insensitivity. And then maybe your computer fan's over there. The idea is, by having the many patterns of microphone, you can switch this dial. You can put it in front of you and turn the dial and see, does that unwanted noise go away? So let's take this microphone, and I'm going to set it up over in my control room in front of my computer. And my computer doesn't have a fan on it, but or doesn't have a fan that engages. So I've got a little Bluetooth speaker that I'm going to set up with pre-recorded fan noise. Thank you, YouTube. You can get all sorts of weird sound effects. So I got like 15 minutes of computer fan noise. So I'm going to put that, and I'll put a decibel meter so we can see how loud it is, and then move the microphone around, and you'll be able to see how the different patterns affect the sensitivity to that noise. And I've also got a really old, super loud, clicky keyboard that I'll put under there so we can see how I have the loudest keyboard of all. It's an old 1980s clicky, clacky keyboard. I forget what keys they are. Super loud, louder than your cherries, louder than all your loudest cherries. It's loud. So if you can, and I do that so that we can minimize the sound. I'll also do it with a bubble keyboard so we can also see that. So let's take it over to the control room and let's experiment with the patterns and see how the noise pattern changes. Let's go. Okay, so this little bit of overdubbing is going to be the M179, but recorded after the fact. First, I'll show you how the microphone is sensitive all around in the Omni pattern. So I'll just move the noise all the way around. It's louder and quiet as I get closer and farther away. Right now, it's set in the Omni pattern. So that's the Omni pattern. And now I'll put it directly behind the microphone, where a computer fan might normally be. Alright, so I'm also going to turn on my decibel meter. That just sort of shows how loud things are. By default, that Bluetooth is up pretty loud, so I'm just going to turn it down a little bit to get it to more of a normal noise level. About 56 dBA is about right. 40 is where really quiet is, as what my booth is, so 56, somewhere that would be a reasonably loud fan. Now, here's the knob. Zoom in on it there. There's a knob, and as you can see, it's in the omnidirectional pattern, meaning it's sensitive all the way around. And as I turn the mic, it's the same volume. The noise is the same volume all the way around. No difference. Same, no matter where you're standing around that side of the mic, any side of the mic, it's going to be the same. All right, so now if we turn this towards the wide cardioid, you can hear the noise starts to go away because we've made the back of the microphone less sensitive. Keep going. Now this is the typical cardioid pattern. There's a little detent in the knob. But now there's a lobe of sensitivity just in the front, and it's really insensitive directly behind the microphone. Turning it. You can hear where that edge of the noise is, can't you? Very sensitive. Just after 90 degrees, it falls off until you're all the way in the back, and is really insensitive. Moving that pattern now to the super cardioid, you notice it opens up a little lobe of sensitivity in the back. Hear how that noise came back. But the rejection at the side gets a little bit more. And you have to turn a little bit more than 90 degrees to the sound source. See, it falls off a little bit earlier. Really quiet from the sides. And you hear how that sensitivity comes back. Now we'll move towards the figure 8 pattern. And you hear that noise starting to come back because we've added sensitivity to the back. But it really rejects at 90 degrees. Now the mic's facing the sound and we can hear this noise again. And that goes all the way around the mic. That's 360 degrees, that narrow sensitivity. See, it's from the top of the mic, also from the bottom of the mic. No sound at 90 degrees to the sound source. But then it comes back. Okay, now we're 90 degrees perpendicular. And sound is gone. And it doesn't disappear entirely because there's still reflections from all over the place. So let's put on the typical cardioid pattern and let's hit the keyboard. So I'm trying to put the keys, the WASD keys, right in that insensitive part. See, it comes in a little bit. Now you can really hear how loud those keys are. But it doesn't completely disappear because there is still sound reflecting off my computer monitors, off my desk, off the walls behind me, off the ceiling. So the mic's still going to pick it up. But the pattern really does minimize how much we hear. That's just a demonstration of the reflection. See how my hand makes it seem louder because I'm reflecting, there's sound reflecting off my hand into it. So it's going to reflect off you, off the wall behind you, off everywhere. That's why it can't always completely go away. So now I've got the lobe of insensitivity right at the WASD keys, and the noise source is also in that insensitive part. So what I'll do is I'll just move the microphone a little bit off so it's so I can put my face in front of it. And now I've really got it optimized directly over the keys I'm going to press most when I'm gaming. And I've got my fan in the same angle, in that same lobe of insensitivity. Not gone, much quieter. So now I'll just move it so I can put my face in front of it as if I was sitting at the keyboard. And you can hear what it sounds like. So this is a comparison of how my voice sounds in comparison to the keyboard and the computer fan noise. Let's see if we can see the meter. See if that's, not sure if that's visible. But when I'm talking, it goes up to about 75 dBA. That's about my normal speaking voice. And I'm clicking on the keyboard, and the fan is going, and that's a loud fan. So that's one way that you can set that up. Pretty cool. And that's because we have all of those different patterns that we can leverage. So, what do you think? CAD M179. The patterns really do dictate what it's going to hear. Those areas of sensitivity, once you can sort of visualize them in your head, you can really start to get a sense of where the sound, if there's an unwanted sound, where to place it in the pattern. And what's great about the infinitely adjustable microphone is you have some freedom in being able to adjust where that insensitivity is. I will say that the figure 8 pattern, that side rejection, that is your strongest rejection. So if you can put a lot of acoustic treatment on this side, if you need strong rejection, at 90 degrees, that's where you're going to get it from. The cardioid, the true cardioid and wide cardioid, they do have real strong rejection right from the back. It's not perfect, but it is some fairly strong rejection. Now, my impressions of it, CAD sent me this mic. I wrote to CAD and I said, got anything I might want to show on my channel? And I didn't know what they were going to send me. I just said, send me some stuff. And they sent me this microphone. And they sent me this microphone and a pair of headphones too, but I haven't opened the headphone box yet. And I was like, well, okay, I don't know anything about this microphone. I'm a voice actor. I only ever use the cardioid pattern. So that was the pattern I was most interested in. But then I started to think about it. And as I started to investigate the usefulness of these other patterns, I knew what I would use them for in music production. But as far as gaming, that's when it sort of clicked for me, and I was like, this is what so many people are looking for. They need to be able to adjust that mic and visualize where those areas of insensitivity are so that they can put the noise there. It's not that you tune the microphone or do something to it. It's really the placement of the microphone and the pattern that dictates what it's going to hear. You put your voice in front of it and you put your unwanted noise in the areas of insensitivity. And the beautiful thing about this kind of microphone with its infinitely adjustable pattern is you can really adjust where that insensitivity is. You have a lot more freedom than with just a cardioid mic or the super cardioid like the CAD E100S. And I will say, as much as I love my E100S, when I was switching back and forth between the 179 and the E100S, I thought they sounded really similar. I thought it sounded different than the NT1A. The NT1A really is known for its presence up in the top end, and that flatters some people. It doesn't flatter other people. I don't necessarily find that the Rode NT1A flatters my voice as much, but this one did seem to be smoother, much more in line with the E100S. At half the price, that difference between those two, pretty minimal. So if you are a gamer, if you're doing music production, if you're going to have two people talking, you could both be on each side of the figure 8 pattern, two people, one microphone. A lot of versatility in this microphone. So if you've only got a limited budget, and you're going to be doing gaming, and you need to worry about where noise is going to come from, give this one a serious thought. Is what I'll say. I'd like to thank the guys from CAD for sending it to me. I've really super enjoyed using it and learning a lot about it. I hope you guys find this helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to subscribe, hit that little bell if you want to be notified for anything else. But in the meantime, go grab a mic, maybe a multi-pattern mic, maybe an infinitely adjustable multi-pattern microphone. Physics. And go just record something amazing. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time.